If you feel like you can see through people, it doesn't mean you're arrogant. It doesn't mean you think you're smarter than everyone else. And it doesn't mean you're constantly judging others. Psychology shows that this feeling usually comes from heightened perception, not superiority. You don't just hear what people say, you notice how they say it, the pauses, the tone shifts, the things they avoid mentioning. While others take words at face value, your mind automatically looks underneath them. That difference changes how you experience people. One major reason you feel like you see through people is advanced pattern recognition. Psychology shows that some brains naturally connect behavioral dots faster. You notice consistency and inconsistency. You see when someone's actions don't match their values, when confidence doesn't match competence, when kindness disappears under pressure. Once your mind detects a pattern, it locks it in. And once that happens, appearances stop working. Another reason is emotional attunement. You're highly sensitive to emotional signals. Micro expressions, subtle discomfort, forced enthusiasm. Psychology shows that emotionally attuned people unconsciously read emotional leakage, feelings that escape even when someone tries to hide them. So when someone says, "I'm fine," but their energy isn't, you notice. Not because you're suspicious, but because your brain picks up emotional contradictions automatically. Another factor is that you don't lose yourself in interaction. You don't perform socially, you don't chase approval, you don't adjust your personality to be liked. Psychology shows that people who aren't busy managing their image have more mental bandwidth to observe others. While some people are focused on how they're coming across, you're watching how others operate. That observer position sharpens perception. Another reason you see through people is experience. You've watched patterns repeat. People promise and disappear, say one thing and do another, act confident until challenged. Psychology shows that repeated exposure to human behavior builds internal templates. So when you meet someone new, your mind subconsciously compares, not to judge, but to recognize. Another overlooked reason is that you think in motives, not actions. Most people evaluate behavior literally. You ask why. Why did they say that? Why now? What do they gain? Psychology shows that motive-focused thinking leads to deeper understanding of human behavior. Once you understand motive, behavior becomes predictable. That predictability feels like seeing through someone. Another reason is emotional independence. You don't depend on validation to feel stable. You don't need approval to feel secure. Psychology shows that people who aren't emotionally dependent are harder to manipulate. Flattery doesn't distract you. Charm doesn't override logic. Status doesn't impress you. So when someone is trying to influence, impress, or control, you sense it quickly. Not because you're paranoid, but because you're not emotionally hooked. Another factor is your comfort with silence. You don't rush to fill gaps. You don't panic in quiet moments. Psychology shows that silence reveals people. When others talk too much, you listen for what they're avoiding. When they rush explanations, you notice the insecurity underneath. Silence gives you information, and information sharpens insight. Another reason you feel like you see through people is authenticity sensitivity. You value what's real. Psychology shows that people who value authenticity develop a low tolerance for performative behavior. So exaggerated confidence, forced niceness, or carefully curated personalities stand out to you. You don't feel impressed, you feel disconnected. Another reason is that you don't idealize people. Psychology shows that idealization blocks perception. You don't project fantasies onto others. You don't fill gaps with hope. You see people as they are, not as you wish they were. That realism feels like clarity. And here's the part most people misunderstand. Seeing through people doesn't mean you dislike them. It means you understand them faster. Psychology shows that understanding doesn't always lead to closeness. Sometimes it leads to distance. Once you see someone clearly, you know how close they can come and where the line needs to be. This isn't coldness, it's discernment. So if you feel like you see through people, understand this. You're not cynical, you're perceptive, you're not detached, you're discerning, and you're not imagining things. Your mind is wired to notice what others overlook. Seeing through people doesn't make life easier, but it makes it clearer. And clarity, even when it's isolating, is a form of power. If you want more psychology videos that explain why your intuition feels sharper than most people's, Subscribe now. The next video might finally explain something you've sensed for a long time, but never fully trusted.